It takes 3 or 4 trucks to make one good one a lot of times.
Dan is so driven.
We're getting over 3,000 listens a month now, and they couldn't get it started. And then all of a sudden it started and exploded.
Dan told me that we only get one rest stop on this whole trip. Can you believe that?
Found this little Scout for $800, and it ran and drove it home scarily. It was a death trap that shouldn't have ran and drove, but that's what prompted me to start working on them. I've never not had an International since I bought that very first. My uncle came by the place and he was telling me like, oh, you need to go talk to Gary Hedin. And I hadn't seen Gary since I was in junior high, but he lived in the town where I went to high school. And so I limped this broken little Scout down to Gary's, and I pull in his place and he's got trucks and travel-alls and a Scout 2. And you know, being that he was a teacher, he was extremely good at showing me how to do things. I talk to him often, and I love that guy to death. So from there, it was just trial and error. I ruined a lot of parts. I ruined a lot of expensive things because I just didn't know what I was doing. And then I'd know forever, you know, I don't make that same mistake again.
Dan is so driven. I think because more and more people, at least it seems that way, are getting interested in internationals. I notice a lot with the Scouts anyway, that people are all of a sudden really interested in it again. So business has been up quite a bit. And Dan's really good with being on the social media, so he meets a lot of people that way. I think that means that it's going to just keep getting bigger and better for him.
So my dream really is to have like a replica dealership. I would love to be able to afford new construction of a modern facility, but have it look like a dealership from 1955, and then have a shop, a large service facility that has, you know, like glass doors so people can see in and see what's going on without actually having to go into the shop. It almost border on museum, but I don't want to call it that. It would just be like a functional, like a working museum. So that's my end goal. My first shop was a Costco tarp garage. When I first started this business, I wasn't a light line vendor. I wasn't established in the international business community. Every farmer, everybody refers to these old trucks as corn binders, just from the tractor and implement heritage that started, you know, international back in the 1800s. And so, you know, the binder term was one that everyone would recognize. It takes 3 or 4 trucks to make one good one a lot of times. So we end up with all these extras and parts and pieces. And so the Boneyard thing, you know, it's catchy, you know, I don't want to say it rhymes, but, you know, Binder Boneyard, it just kind of, it's not very bumpy, it's nice to say. So it was a good, you know, it was a good name. And then that's same with our products, our aftermarket products that we have under the Harvester hardware line. You know, Harvester is a generic name, you can't, you know, International doesn't own that word.
Well, Dan, you've got quite the collection of trucks here. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they all have really great stories.
You know, a lot of them have some history for sure. Some of them definitely do have some better stories. Some of them, I don't know the history on them because they come in as like junker, you know, it's just a get it out of my field kind of story. This black truck, this was a running, driving truck that a good friend of mine went to buy, and they're out there and they can't get it started, and they couldn't get it started, and then all of a sudden it started and exploded. The engine, there was missing they call it a flame arrestor in the valve cover. Something happened and there was crankcase gases that had built up, and when it finally started, all those gases ignited, and it blew so hard that all of the gaskets for the valve covers blew out, and they lifted off, and the fire shot out of the intake. It just completely blew the motor up, so I don't think we're gonna repair this one.
Oh, what a bummer.
But it's got a lot of usable parts, you know, all the trim and the mirrors, and it's got different stuff. You know, it definitely it's a very valuable truck as far as parts go,
Right.
and that's, you know, half the business. In the old days, you know, you'd advertise in a magazine, you'd go to a show, you'd maybe even do like a radio commercial or something, but because the international community is so spread out, because it's so niche, you know, there's just not a lot of them around anymore. Your reach has to be nationwide or worldwide. I burn a couple hours a day doing social media work, or I'm in bed at 11 o'clock at night doing social media, but it's free, you know, and it's part of the hustle. And that's why I'm actually gonna take a picture of this antenna right now, because there's a guy on Facebook that's looking for one. I remember seeing his wanted ad. Half of my social media time is reaching out to people, say, hey, I saw you needed a seat, or you needed this, or you needed that. I have it, you know. And so I think that's what helps separate me from some of the other vendors too. And then the podcast. I don't know if I refer to that as a service other than maybe community service. Thanks for tuning in, because it's free. You know, you can listen to it anywhere, iTunes or SoundCloud, and you don't have to pay for it. And I give technical advice, I answer questions. People email me different questions. I offer the podcast as a way for somebody to get answers on their time, you know. And so every episode we cover something technical. I mean, sometimes it's oil, sometimes it's transmission rebuilds, you know, and they're not always the most entertaining, you know. I mean, the transmission rebuild podcast is kind of dry, but I've gotten messages from people that were like, man, thank you for doing that, because now I know, you know, I'm gonna do this in 2 weeks, and now you said that, I know I need to get this rebuild kit or those parts, and so it does help. We're getting over 3,000 listens a month now on them. You know, when a podcast drops, it's like over 100 before the day's over, which is pretty good considering it's so niche. You know, who's listening to podcasts just about internationals? So it's encouraging, and I hope it continues to grow, just so I can help the community. Definitely a system with a trailer like this.
We're gonna call this episode, Where's the Rest Stop? Number one road trip pet peeve?
When people sleep the entire time. Most of the time people come on road trips with me because they want to see the drive or, you know, experience the trip, and then they sleep through the whole thing.
Now, rumor has it that you've coined a new dance move.
I was doing it a couple minutes ago, and now I will never do it again.
Dan told me that we only get one rest stop on this whole trip. Can you believe that?
Well, there's fuel stops too, so, you know, they have bathrooms there.
I didn't know this was gonna happen, and I just drank a coffee and I drank a whole Monster, and now I'm getting only one bathroom. One bathroom break.
So Kendra, what do you think about road tripping in an old truck?
Sitting here in this old International, it's like sitting in your living room on wheels. Like, it is so comfortable.
I built this truck, you know, for this kind of thing, for long drives and towing trailers, and that's, you know, we're hauling a big enclosed trailer right now, and we're doing 65 on the highway, and everybody's comfortable, and that's what I built it for, you know?